G'day YouTubians, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy and prosperous 2020. I haven't done a video for a few weeks. We've been quite busy here. As mentioned in other videos, we have a cattery on the property and it's been the Christmas period of late. The Christmas period for us is the craziest time of year with the cattery. It is just as busy as it gets. Every pen that we have is taken and occupied, so it gets crazy busy in there, and it's been really hard to find time to put a video out. I've also had a few other issues with some systems on the farm, the leach drain. I've had to dig a new leach drain and reinstate some paving in other areas, and my neighbour, who we're closely involved with in terms of day-to-day operations, he's required me to help him out a little bit, so I've been sort of getting involved with him and his activities recently. He's also a great help to me as well. He's something I should have mentioned on the thanks and acknowledgement video was the fact that Jamie, my neighbour, is really one of the guys that I needed to give some thanks and gratitude towards. He's always willing to help us out with anything that needs to be done here, and yeah, just wanted to say sorry for missing him out on the thanks and acknowledgement video, but I also wanted to express my gratitude for all his help and assistance that he renders here as well. Today's video, I wanted to talk about and cover what it actually means to be off-grid. It's a term that you hear quite a lot. There's quite a lot of people on YouTube and channels dedicated to off-grid living. It's all very interesting, ranging right through from people that are living in a suburban environment, perhaps with some power independence, or all the way to people that are living right out in the wilderness, miles from civilization, harvesting their own meat, harvesting their own vegetables, usually in very cold climates, the ones that I've seen on YouTube, and they're generally fueling their wood stoves by themselves, and they've gone the full gamut. And I just wanted to today just try and cover a few of those bases, and best do that by just going through our system here and outlining what we've got and the dreams and ambitions that we had that sort of led us to this point that of being off-grid. For a long time, I've believed that you could live comfortably and not really miss out on anything while being completely independent from the power grid, and we've also extended that into fuel as well for cars and the machinery that we run here on the farm, which is really just a tractor and perhaps a generator. There'll be a backup generator coming very soon for the system that you see behind you here, behind me here, and we can make biodiesel fuel that powers that equipment. My wife and I do have a car each. I've got my ute where I run around in, and she has a car. They are both petrols that we have not made. There is possible to make ethanol fuel for a petrol car. Haven't gone to that extent yet, but it's something that's a possibility for the future. We find the amount of fuel that we're actually burning in the cars. We live about 10 minutes from town, and we maybe run into town 2 to 3 times a week for various things, and the occasional run up to Perth for us is about a 2.5 hour run. It just doesn't seem worth it to go to the extent of building the equipment, sourcing a sugar source. Ethanol is made from sugar. At some point it's got to be some form of sugar. The most practical solution for that for us here would be to use the hay off the paddocks, but then we're taking away feed from the animals, and when you balance all these things up, it just hardly seems worth it for the amount of fuel that we're actually burning. I would love to be completely clean and using renewable fuels for everything, but yeah, the minor amount of fuel that we burn it just doesn't seem to add up. The tractor, the generator, the tractor, again, is probably another thing that I'd use 2 to 3 times a week for maybe an hour. We already have the biodiesel set up for, that's like my dad and I had done that years ago, and we'd used it. We both had diesel vehicles at that stage, and we were using the diesel. We were using quite a lot of the diesel, so that's come in really handy, and that's something that we've done now for approximately 15 years, and that's been great. And obviously, it lets us we can use that fuel in the tractor. An outline of the dreams and ambitions that my wife and I had in terms of being off-grid, what we regarded as being off-grid. That was what we wanted to achieve. We feel strongly now that we've done that with primarily being off-grid with the electricity, has allowed us to power our house, our farm, all the pumps and things that we run here for pumping water, etc., is all done with complete independence from the power grid, which is great. We're chuffed with that. Feels very good to be able to do that. We were prepared to invest in the hardware that it took to make that a reality, which is the system that you see behind me with the batteries and the solar panels and the cost that was involved in that. I regard that as a one-off expense. We likely will not have to replace this system for the rest of our lifetime. The batteries, I'm expecting optimistically for 12 to 15 years of use out of those, and then they get replaced. But that's the one component of the system that is, I guess, a consumable, if you like. But the system itself, outside of the batteries, that I sincerely hope that it lasts us for the rest of our lives. We felt that was a very worthwhile investment in terms of it was a financial, it was a decision as much as an environmental decision, and it just seemed very worthwhile to us. That outlines what I consider to be off-grid, and the fact that what we've achieved in being off-grid. As I said earlier, it is different for everybody, and everyone has a different opinion and a different view on it and a different approach to it, and depending on where you live, your environment, all sorts of factors determine it. But I just can only reiterate how satisfying it feels to be independent. I'm not really going to start bagging governments and big corporations and all that sort of thing. I just people form their own opinion of all that sort of stuff. I don't want it to come from that place. I want it to come from a place that we are independent in our power generation and consumption, and we are also free and able to live as comfortably as we like, without always having this mental sort of cash register ticking over in the back of my mind that if I turn this item on, it's going to chew through X amount of power, and it is ultimately going to cost. And that's what feels good to me and to my wife, is that the fact that we're free of all that now. And the bottom line is, if the sun's out, it's making enough power to turn on anything we want here. And none of in all the pre-planning that we did prior to pulling the trigger on this system, we worked out that we didn't really think that we were going to run any heavy items, any heavy use items after sundown, and if we did, it would be very rare. And we just felt that in our situation, it worked very well, and would encourage anybody to at least seriously look into this path, because it just feels good. The independence feels great. I'd like to round out by saying thanks for watching, thanks for the interest in our channel. I really do enjoy interacting with people that are looking into this sort of content. This is I think it's a very important thing for our world going forward. We think the people that are able to do this should really seriously look at doing it. Thank you again, and please guys, if you like this sort of stuff, subscribe, hit the like button, get involved in the comments. I do try and reply to the comments and try and interact with people and answer questions if that's what happens, and steer people in a helpful direction. So yeah, please do those things for us guys. I'd really appreciate that. Like, comment and subscribe, and the more people that are living in this way, the better as far as I'm concerned. Cheers guys, thanks, bye.